Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us for today's session. My name is Firas, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft React in Redmond. Before we start, I have a few things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary and remain professional and on topic. The session is recorded. It will be available through the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. I'll be sharing the link of our YouTube channel in the chat. I'll also be sharing some other links like the Reactor Mira page and the link for our survey so we can get your feedback if you have the time to do it. Which brings us to our session today. This session will run for approximately an hour to an hour and a half. With time for questions throughout. Our speaker for today is Armando Lacerda. He's an Azure Data Platform architect and engineer. I'm now going to hand this over to you, Armando.
Thank you very much for us. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are connecting from. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. And for us, if you may, you can remove the slide deck and just have my camera on. Everything, the other one. There we go. Thank you. So welcome everybody to my session on PowerShell, on getting started into PowerShell. There we go. Let's learn the basics of PowerShell. As Fred has already introduced me, my name is Armando Lacerda. I am a Microsoft MVP, which means that Microsoft has given me an award that they give to people who like to do things like this, to share what they know about the technology with the broader community. So this is what I'm here for. And I love doing this. I've been doing this for a long time. And Microsoft was gracious enough to award me with this award. And specifically on the data platform, my day job is a data architect and a data engineer. I've started as a developer at heart. That's why I'm here today, because I'm going to talk about some code in here. I still do a lot of coding as a data engineer, but not the system applications, web applications, and mobile applications as it is today. But I do a lot of coding, and I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, this red one here. Which means I deliver Microsoft official content to Microsoft official students on Microsoft official classes. As you can see, I'm all Microsoft shop. I love the technology and been working with Microsoft technology. I've been teaching Microsoft technology for over 26 years. I also hold a lot of certifications. If you have not considered getting certified, I highly recommend. The best thing about getting certified is to learn the content, not the actual certification. Like the certification is a bonus that comes after it, but the process of learning, like we're doing here today, is it's what I love about the certifications. They kind of guide me and guide everybody else who wants to get certified on what Microsoft wants us to focus on in their technology, right? There are so many things out there. We can learn about so many things. When you talk about a particular product, there are so many elements around that product. So when you study to get certified, you focus on what Microsoft understands. That's the core elements, the most important elements you should master about a particular job role. Nowadays, Microsoft is certifying on job roles, not specifically on a particular technology or service, which is a great thing too. More on that in other sessions. If you like to connect with me and ask questions later after this class, after this session, actually, you can connect with me through LinkedIn. I love to connect with the students and people from the community, from the technical community through LinkedIn, and we can connect in study groups there, user groups. We can do Stack Overflow, which is a very common place where people go to ask questions about coding and PowerShell in particular, among other things. Twitter is kind of an echo of what happens on my LinkedIn, and Facebook is more particular things, personal things. Don't worry about Facebook. If you wanna see me riding my motorcycle in the California highways, you're gonna find it there. In any case, let's go ahead and jump into our session for today. Oops, wrong button here. Let me collect. There we go. I'm back. I have a timer here, which is this button that gives me my timer there, so I know when it's time to wrap up. So our agenda for today is, of course, what is PowerShell? This is a very basic introduction of PowerShell. So what is PowerShell? Why do we use it for? What's the reason of it? And then we're going to get into the PowerShell itself, learn some commands, and see how to use pipelines to connect commands, and also some tricks on formatting. So this is the very basics of PowerShell. It's for you to get started into PowerShell. As a matter of fact, our session here today has two purposes, two-folded. One, of course, is to cover this topic on PowerShell. But the next thing, perhaps the most important thing you're going to learn from this session here, is that Microsoft has decided to publish and make available every learning material that they have produced for these new technologies and for whatever is current today. They have decided to publish as a free resource under the Microsoft Learn platform, which means that you can still go to a Microsoft official class and benefit from a trainer there, from an official trainer, and learn from the trainer's experience and so on. But if you have that hint, if you like to study some things by yourself to get your feet wet and learn how to use, get introduced to a particular technology, you don't have to wait for a session like that to happen. You can go straight to the Microsoft Learn website and search for the learning paths of the particular platform you're looking for. Let me show you that before we get started in here. So I'm going to switch here to my browser. That's here behind me. Let me get myself smaller here in the corner so I don't get in the middle of it. And let me also make it this a little bigger so we can follow along here together later. Sorry. I'm getting a new tab in here. And in this new tab, if you do microsoft.com/learn, you will get, actually it's searched. I don't know why. It's supposed to get straight there. If you go to docs.microsoft.com/learn, you get to this website here, which is the entry point for all these learning paths I just mentioned. So everything that Microsoft is producing, including for the classes, for the official classes, is made available for free here. So when you go to a Microsoft class, usually, used to go, right? Usually you get these big books, and you take these books home for the past 10 years or so, 10 plus years. They have made these books virtual, so you don't have to print, save the trees, but they still have those big books like in PDF format or something, and you will study through those books. Now, all of this content, they are reformatted and made available in here. So I highly recommend for you to come in here later and start exploring this thing here. The whole session today will be about getting to one of these learning paths specifically for PowerShell and start learning it. But like if you want to get into Power BI, which has nothing to do with PowerShell, although they share the first name, right? Power. Microsoft liked this name Power for a lot of things. So if you want to learn Power BI, you can click in here into Power BI, and then you get to a learning paths of 6 units. Of this Power BI, they timed this one here to be about 40 minutes. And what's cool about this is not all, some of these learning paths will give you a sandbox, right? You don't have to use your computer to do stuff. You can do, I'm sorry, I'm getting out of a cold. You can do your learning and your hands-on practice is straight from a sandbox that I made available here. This particular learning path we are going to see today about PowerShell will get one of these sandboxes. Yesterday, I presented on another subject. There was no sandbox for that one, so I had to use my own laptop, actually a virtual machine that we'll be using today again. But for a lot of these learning paths here, Microsoft will offer you for free a sandbox so you can have hands-on practices on whatever technology it is. So there you go. That's how you get to this content. That's how you connect to it. And you can start learning by yourself, and then when you feel more comfortable, you can go into a class and, ask smart questions. There is no such thing like dummy questions, right? Well, maybe. Well, we'll see. But anyways, when you get into a class, you have your brain warmed up on a particular subject. All right. So with that in mind, let me close this one and go back here to this one that we'll be doing today. And let me go back to my slide deck here just for a couple of slides to get introduced to some subjects. Let me get myself bigger here again. And let's flip over to the next slide. I have my clicker here. Let's see, the clicker is working. Yes. So the first topic in here, let me go back one. So the first topic here is what is PowerShell? So what's this thing? Now, what's PowerShell in itself? Now, PowerShell is a technology specifically for automation. It was originally designed for automation. So what is the idea of automation? What do I mean by automation? Well, if I go back here to the browser, and if I connect to, let's say, to Azure, portal.azure.com. So for some reason, nothing is, I may be mistyping. Let's try it again. Portal.azure.com. There we go. It seems like the demo gods, live demos sometimes are somewhat challenging because the demo gods are not in a good mood, and then they kind of make your things fail. So let's sign on here. Let's try this again. This is my working account. Something's going on with this browser that doesn't like my working account. I'm going to use a sandbox that I have. This, you're going to see an email address in here, but don't email me on this email address because I use this one here only for my ID. So if you mail something in there, it's going to get lost and forgotten there because I don't read this mailbox. So let's get to this guy here. Let's see if it goes through. Okay, it went through. Let me get this a little bigger. So I use this one here for a lot of demos that I do out there. Again, the top and these credits here are some Microsoft credits, not real money. It's just Azure credits Microsoft gives me for these demos. So again, what's the topic again? What is PowerShell? PowerShell is a command line technology that is mainly designed for automation. So those two first questions of the slide deck, I'm answering them right now, right? I'm answering those two questions. I'm answering them right now. PowerShell is a technology for command line instructions. And the main goal, what is it for? Is for automation. And the idea is this one here. So like here I am on some environment, like in this case, I'm in Azure. I could be in Windows, I could be in SQL Server, I could be a bunch of places. But in this case here, I'm in Azure. And I'm going to do an action here. And Microsoft Windows, Microsoft in particular, as a company, they have understood that graphic user interfaces are great to help people get started and get functional on a technology super quick. So if I want to do something here, if I have a graphic user interface like I'm seeing right now, it goes really good, right? You know, it's super easy to learn. So I can come here and go like, you know, if I want to create a resource group, I can come here, do create a resource. Actually, let me go back there. If I want to create a resource group, I have here resource groups, and I can go ahead and do a create right from here. And this can name my resource group like demo PowerShell and have it on a particular data center. And my name is covering here. The buttons that are in here, there is a button here right behind my name called review and create. So I get there on the summary of the thing, and I'm gonna get it created. So I just created some resource, and here it is, already created, resource group created. I just created some resource in Azure, which is a resource group, and I use the graphic user interface. Now, imagine that this same task needs to be done again and again and again. So I can go ahead and do create resource group, name, fill up that form and click those two buttons, and I get the thing going. But at some point, it becomes like boring because I'm doing the thing manually all the time, and is somewhat unreliable because I'm doing it myself. And I can do a bad click, right? I can aim on something and click on something else, and something goes wrong. The bottom line is when I do it through graphical user interface, it's great for me to do something, ad hoc, just get the thing done and over. But if it's something that I need to get done, or something that needs to get done in a routine fashion, I have to repeat that as a repeatable task. It's better if I can code that task, if I can create commands, script commands that will do that same task for me. So for instance, if I go here into, let's do a little Google in here, since this is a Microsoft session, let's go to Google. And let's tell Google that I want to search on, does this get bigger? Let's see, it does. I want to search on the documentation, docs.microsoft.com, and I do Azure create resource. Let's see here, resource group PowerShell. And some ads going on over there. There we go. This one here should do it. Let's take a look. So here is the Microsoft official documentation for a PowerShell. So I specifically search for PowerShell. So I'm in Azure PowerShell over here, as you can see. Let me see if this is still working. Yeah. So I am in the Azure PowerShell documentation. And here in the Azure PowerShell documentation, I see a particular Commandlet. So the keyword for the thing is Commandlet, this guy here, new Azure Resource Group. So I see here a new Commandlet, and I see here some description of that documentation, and I see some examples. So in this particular one here, you see, instead of open up that screen that I had there before, right, in the Azure portal, and go over the wizard to create my thing, with this command and this command alone, I could have another resource group, or even the same resource group created anytime I need, just by running this statement. So if I go in here and, I can go ahead and try, I'm not sure if this one is going to work from here. I'm going to copy this guy and go back to my session in the portal. And I'm going to ask for my for a command prompt. Again, right, when you do graphic user interfaces, you do everything by clicking on buttons and this thing. When you do PowerShell or any other command line tool for that matter, you go by command. And in this one here, I did not land in PowerShell. I land into the Bash interface, which is another option for command line. So let's switch here to PowerShell. And in here, I created demo PowerShell, right? That was a resource group I created before in EastUS. So we're going to do the same thing. Where is my mouse? Here's my mouse. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paste that command over there. But it's not going to be on South Central. It's going to be in East US. And the name of the resource group will be Demo PowerShell 2, because I'm not that I'm not that creative. Demo PowerShell 2. So this is the thing, right? PowerShell is for this. I can have a command recorded on a file. In this case, I'm typing the command here, but recorded on a file. And I can have that command executed multiple times, anytime that I need. I can schedule that command to be executed at any time. Like if this needs to be done 2 in the morning, I don't have to wake up 2 in the morning to do it. I can just schedule it to run at 2 in the morning. And once it is scheduled, if I go back and execute it, when I go back there to my resource groups, I should see here, let's get rid of this guy here for the moment. I should see here my 2 resource groups. Here's one. And the other one not showing here anywhere, but it will show eventually. Let's do a refresh here just quick, see if that helps. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Here it is, right? I create the other resource group by PowerShell, by running the PowerShell. So this is the answer. This is the point I want to drive right out of the bat here about PowerShell, right? What is it? So it's that prompt that you had seen there in the command line. And what is it for? It is for automation. It's for me to record the actions that need to be taken in order to accomplish some particular goal, and then let the computer run by itself without, usually without human intervention, and just let it do the thing by itself. And I don't have to worry about the details, right? Because it's already scripted out. It's just run the thing, perhaps supply one or two variables in there, and off we go. This idea of scripting comes from a very, from the very beginnings of compute, right? Everything we do on a computer is usually by code. Graphic user interface is something that's about, 30 years old, and that has been created for non-technical people to interact with computers better. That's why we love our cell phones. There is no command prompting there, right? And but when we do need to work on the IT field, and we need to automate tasks, scripting is everything for us on that area. And we find the scripting environments everywhere. I just showed you one here in the portal, right? When I clicked here in the Azure portal, when I clicked here in this button here above my head, this one here, when I click on this guy here and it opened the Cloud Shell, so I can have my script command in here. I can have the same script command on my local computer. I can have the same script command on a cell phone. I can actually connect to my cell phone here and do some stuff there through script commands. There are multiple ways of doing this. If you are using Windows, and again, I apologize that my name is kind of hiding my taskbar in there. Let me see, because I'm running from a virtual machine, I think I can go out of full screen here just quick. And then, or was already on full screen? No, I was not on full screen. So this, there you go. This should move. Come on, move. All right, let me move this. There we go. Here is my Windows button that was behind my name there. So let me click here on my Windows button. One of the ways to have PowerShell on your Windows machine itself is by not typing cmd. So this guy here, the command prompt, is the predecessor, the one before PowerShell. Before PowerShell came along, this is what was available there, right? The command prompt. Now, it's still there because there is so many things that there are automated using the command prompt. It has the same idea, but is not as powerful as PowerShell is. Pun intended. as powerful as PowerShell is. So you see this guy there sometimes. Don't worry about this guy. You really don't want that one. The one you want is the one called PowerShell. There we go. And as you can see over here, PowerShell has a couple of flavors when you open the PowerShell command line, right? If you're running from your computer, from your local computer. So you see here that, actually, is off screen right now. There is a PowerShell itself right here. There's just PowerShell. And then there is PowerShell ISE. And there is PowerShell embedded into Visual Studio 2019. And there is the same guy here, this PowerShell command prompt that's in here, and the PowerShell ISE. You have these two guys too, but on 32 bits platform, not 64 bits platform. So which one should you use? Let's start from here, right? Which one should you use? It all depends on what you want to accomplish. If you want to automate something on your local machine, you're going to use one of these guys, right? And more likely you're going to use the 64 bits, not the x86 anymore. You're going to use the 64 bits, one of these two here. Actually, either this one or this one, right? This one is kind of a more cool. It has some extra elements, graphic interface elements to it. I'll get to it later so you can take a look on it. But yeah, one of these two is what you're going to use. If you're doing your things up in the cloud, then of course, even though you can send commands to the cloud from your local workstation, from one of these guys here, you can send your commands to the cloud from one of these guys. You can actually run your command straight into the cloud. And when you do that, usually it makes your life easier because the command is already running in a cloud environment. So the authentication piece is already done. It tends to be a little easier to run things from there. But it's up to you, right? Whatever you want to do. Let's get my virtual machine back maximized in here. So I have more room to do my demos when it's time to run the demos. Okay, so this is it. This is what PowerShell is a command line environment that you find in multiple places. This one here is in the Azure portal. The other one that I mentioned before here on my start button is on my desktop. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Get there. And again, PowerShell, not PowerPoint, PowerShell. Yep. And then we can run from there. Now, the best thing is for you, because we are learning, you're going to use this learning path here from Microsoft to learn the basics about PowerShell. There will be a PowerShell there available for you in a sandbox. So you don't even have to worry which one you're going to use. You can actually do from here too, but you don't really have to worry which one you're going to use because there will be one there available for you. Meaning PowerShell is available in multiple places. And for that matter, since we are here, before you get into the learning path, if you look into like download PowerShell, because PowerShell comes in Windows 8, Windows Server 2012, and all later versions, PowerShell is already in there. Is built into the operating system, but it does have versions, and it gets upgraded, right? You can upgrade your PowerShell installation. So sometimes you need to do either the upgrade or the installation yourself, especially if you're running PowerShell on other platforms, because PowerShell used to be something just for the Windows platform, but now it works and runs, right, both on Linux environments as well as Mac environments. So if I do here download PowerShell, if I do a quick searching here, install, you see, I get this first link here that pops up from Bing is a page where I can download PowerShell for Windows, for Mac OS, and for Linux. Now, for these two environments here, the guys who work on these two environments here, they usually rather use the original CLI that's in there, which is the Bash CLI. But the bottom line here is what you're learning here is transferable from Windows to these other two platforms. So you are, if you want to, you can do your automation also in PowerShell in these ones. You're not restricted just to the Bash interface that's in there, which is great, by the way. I'm not saying that you should switch, right? I'm saying is you have an extra option in there to do your automation tricks on those platforms. All right, very important. Okie dokie. Let's get rid of this. Let's close this one too. Yeah, that was an example for a PowerShell command that we ran from here. And when we ran this PowerShell command here, let me zoom into it. When I ran this PowerShell command, well, come on, there we go. When I ran this PowerShell command here, I just ran the thing. I did not go through all the elements of the command, because we're gonna see this in details. But just to get started, I would like to emphasize, and you see on the color code here as well. So there is this portion here of this command line that I just executed. There is this two-part element in here. There's this one with this guy and this guy, and a repeat of this with another name, right? This one is name. This one here, as you can see behind my head, location, and some extra information there too. So as you're going to learn PowerShell, it's going to go through the elements. This guy here, let me get this to text. This guy here is my commandlet. This is known as the commandlet. So new dash az resource group is what we're gonna see in the content. There is a commandlet, and over here, let's see, mouse. There we go. And over here, this guy here. Let me get the text again. Over here, this is known as a parameter. And this other guy here on the second element here is the parameter value. So the other one is a parameter. The first one, this guy here, is a parameter name. And this one here is a parameter value. So you see, a command line is split in multiple parts, right? You can see multiple parts to it. And it always starts with a commandlet. In PowerShell, we can have some other instructions other than the commandlet, but when it's a commandlet, it always starts with a commandlet. And then you have the necessary information the commandlet needs in order to run. So how do we know these things? Well, let's get busy studying and see how these things come to life. Let me switch back to the learning path, and let's get started in here. All right, so I hope that brief introduction and the overall ideas surrounding PowerShell has helped you to get started and understand the meaning and the way forward. So let's go ahead and see what the learning material gives to you. One thing that's important about this learning materials here is that you can study it anonymously. So we just studied the thing, no big deal. But when there is a sandbox, it will require you to sign in, because Microsoft needs to make, they're never going to charge you for these things, but they need to keep control to avoid people to abuse the resources. And a bad actor could come in here and create a script to have like 1,000 people going to this thing and put the site down. So one of the ways that Microsoft uses to control the resources and allocate to people is to identify people. If you're really a person, yeah, you get the resources. If you're not a person, if you're like a robot or some kind of a bad actor trying to do something in here, you're going to have a hard time doing that, putting the site down. So one of the things that you're not required to, but only if you want to use the sandbox, is to sign in. So in order to sign in, you can use a personal account, like a Hotmail account, an Outlook account. You can create an account just for yourself, just for these things. And or you can use a corporate account. They will never use your corporate security elements for the sandbox. The other benefit of signing in is that as you study these things and you go from module to module, you get a badge. You accrue points. You see, like this particular one here will give me 800 points. You accrue points, and as you complete things, you get badges for completing the elements. So at the end of the day, you can go to your dashboard, the learning dashboard, and see, oh, I have completed this module, I have completed this module. And if you want to see it again, it's already there. You can click, you can see your history and do exercises again if you like. So highly recommended to sign in. I'm not going to sign in right away, so you can see that at some point it will be required if I want to do the sandbox. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to click here on the start button. And I control click just to have a return point in case I need. So, of course, this is for you to read, right? I'm not going to read it here for you. You don't have time for that. So you can come back here later and read on your own, the information that's there, the content. I will go over these things as we go into the hands-on elements. So once again, what's PowerShell? They say it's about 4 minutes read on this particular topic in here. Some features of PowerShell: it has a built-in help system, which we'll see how to access. It does pipeline and creates nicknames, right? Also known as aliases, to commands that are already there. So some of the interesting features in PowerShell. Some differences in between PowerShell and other traditional command line shells. So it operates on object over text. And that's a very important concept that we will learn as we move along here in the next minutes. That everything it's about this concept of objects. And I go over there. I have a PowerPoint slide for that, so we can have some visual idea of what that means. So we get these objects. Everything is about objects. It's not just data. The commandlets that I had mentioned for you, and also you can use many types of commands there in PowerShell. There are commandlets, there are functions, you can call other scripts. You can make logical structures like looping and decisions. There are a lot of resources you can use in there. There's other ones, if you have time today, we can do it. Otherwise, I would recommend you to keep going on these learning paths and get there on your own. Installation, as I mentioned, both on Windows and other operating systems, as we have just seen. So let's keep moving. There we go. So here on this next step, we are already have some hands-on to try out. So it's like, they want me to run this command. They want you to go ahead and log in here and run this command. So when you do that, in order to do that, if you want to do this on your own environment, you can go ahead and go into the PowerShell on your environment and just run it, right? If you want to do it here on the learning path environment, you will have to sign in, right? There is a there is a box in here that tells you if you run and use the sandbox that I'm providing to you, you have to sign in. So I'm going to click on this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Let me see here. See how many accounts I have in here. I'm gonna use this one here from this from the company I'm working for, presenting these things. And of course, that's the wrong password. Should be the right password. There we go. Let's update. And the reason I use this account here for this company that I also work for, I'm an independent contractor. I work with many partners. And this particular one that I have just used, I have already used it for other learning paths. So when you first connect into this one here, if you do this on your own later on your own time, it will ask you for some extra permissions, like, can I check in the Active Directory that you really exist there? Can I read some attributes from your account so I can have your records into the learning site, the learning side of the Microsoft Learning documentation? So it's going to ask you for a few extra things. I remember when I did it last time, it did send me a text message with some code to make sure that I'm not a robot. I'm someone that has access to your phone that can type a code back, just to avoid those abuses that I already mentioned. Once you go over those things, there we go. You have there on the other side. Where's my mouse? Here. Mouse, here. You have here on this side your instructions about the things they want you to do. And here is your sandbox, where you're gonna, this blue one behind me, where you're gonna run your exercises, which is great. So let's go ahead and check them out. So here it's telling me, hey, you have used 3 sandboxes already. You have 10 per day. So we have used already 3. Guess what? The other 2 I used prepping for this session earlier. And there are 10 more sandboxes. If I keep going with this one here, 10 should be more than enough, because they are reused from session to session. So great. That's my status over there. I got some instructions in here. So the first thing they're telling me here is, you know what? There is this particular object. Remember the object idea? Which we'll explain in more details in a bit. So there is this thing about PowerShell that you can check to see which PowerShell you are having access to. So if I do this thing here, $PowerShell version table, on this sandbox, it should report to me the running environment, the hosting environment, running PowerShell. So let's take a look. I'm gonna click in here, $ES. By the way, PowerShell is not case sensitive, right? But there are some things that could be case sensitive as you use. So be very mindful of casing. There are other environments that are case sensitive, so it's better to pay attention on the case of the letters instead of just be sloppy about it. PS version table. So what is this one? This is not a commandlet. If you can recall the commandlet, there was a word dash, another word. There was no $sign on that commandlet before. So this is definitely not a commandlet. This is something else. This is actually an internal variable, a predefined variable. And the variable in here behind me reported something pretty close to what is in there. So as you can see, when they ran, when they created this content in here, the running version of the sandbox was 7.1. Now it's 7.2. You see over here, behind me here on the results, right? It's 7.2. So it got some updates. Perhaps what I really want to, let me go to the other side here. Perhaps what I really want to emphasize here for you is, and the mouse is, there's the mouse. When it gets into blue, it's hard to see. But I really want to emphasize here that this PowerShell session is actually running not on Windows, but running on Linux, as you can see over here, right? See, it's running on the Linux platform. If I go to my PowerShell in my local computer here, I can do the same thing. I go here, PowerShell, and open a PowerShell window right here. Let's get this letter, this font a little bigger so we can all read, including me, because I'm not wearing my glasses. And if I go again here, $PS version, what's the command again? .ps version table. I see that in my one here, I'm running the desktop version of it. It does not report the operating system because I'm running the desktop, which means that is Windows, not on Linux platform, and not the core like the other one reported. But the bottom line here, what's important is the same PowerShell command executed on two distinct runtime environments, hosting environments, Linux and Windows, right? That's what it's important at this point. So let's minimize this guy. So what do I see in here? Mouse, where are you? Here. What do I see in here? I see a bunch of information. Is just an exercise to see that I can request information from PowerShell in that fashion, right? I just ask the source of the information that can come there. That in that particular case is an object, which again, we're going to go over in a bit. And if I keep browsing over here, I see more things to do. Like you see that in this output here, let me get a zoom in here. This output here, I have requested this guy, the PS version table, which again is that thing called object. What is that object? We'll see in a second. And it did report to me that there is something with a name called PS version, and there is a value to that guy over there called, and the value is 724. So this element in here that holds information inside PS version table, right? I asked for PS version table. I got this guy here, PS version 724. So let me get the text in here. PS version table is a reference to an object, like I have been mentioning. And this guy down here, the PS version, is a reference to in this particular case, is a property of that object. So when I work with objects like this toolbox, it's like a big container where I put things inside. Is a toolbox. And inside the toolbox, you're going to find multiple elements in there. It can be something to actually execute something, to take an action, like a hammer or a screwdriver. Or it can be something that is an information or some element that's there for you to process and work on. Usually a property. It can also be a function and a couple other things, but usually between these two things, a property or a method, right? A function. In this case here, because we have identified that we have a PS version property to the PS version table object, the exercise here say, you know what? If you want to get just one information about one of these guys, you can use the full name, right? You can use the full name of that element. So notice that PS version is the same that we have over here, but now we want not the whole list of properties, but that it outputs by default, but a particular one, which the PS version, this guy here, right? The PS version. So if I go here into the sandbox and do dollar, oh, where is the sandbox? Here. Come on. He doesn't want to click in there. Mouse, where is my mouse? Okay, mouse is there. Let's try this again. There we go. Dollar, and if I do up arrow key, it retrieves the last command I have typed. Then I can do that dollar in the dot in there, and then do the PS version. And there is this thing in the PowerShell command line that it can complete your commands for you. So like I type just a couple words, a couple letters in there. If I hit the tab key, if I have typed it correctly, the first letters, it can look into the object and see, oh, there is something that starts with that and is unique. So that's what you have, right? PS version is my element in there. So use the tab key, helps a lot. And I hit enter in here. So now that tab, information I had there before, see the PS version. The PS version is major version 7, minor version 2, revision 4, or patch in that case. You see them reported over here, right? Broken down here in particular. So one of the things about PowerShell is exactly that, right? You can use the object or use a particular element of the object, point to that object. To re-emphasize this idea of object, I'm gonna go back here to the slide deck just quick and get into this kind of a visual that I made here for you of this idea of the toolbox. So the object is this toolbox in here, right? This collection is one container with this collection of elements inside the container. There can be some things to do action on. You got the plier, you got the screwdriver, you got the hammer. You have multiple tools in there, and you could also have, like I said, the actual screws, the bushes, and whatever, a bunch of things you can have in there. They are not the actual tool, but they hold some function, some information there for you. The object itself is the toolbox, and learn that in PowerShell, you have multiple objects. I'm not kidding. You have hundreds and hundreds of objects. Some of these objects, they come with PowerShell. Some of these objects, they are added into PowerShell depending on the environment you are working on. Like when you're working in Azure, you get an Azure library with hundreds and hundreds more of these objects that represent things inside Azure. So the idea is exactly that, right? You have an object name, like the PS version table. So that's my object name, and then you dot, and then you could have right away either a method or a property, like the version itself was a property in there because it holds information. So it can be either a method or a property, or it can be a toolbox within a toolbox. You have seen that from Home Depot, right? You have a toolbox, and inside the toolbox there is another container for another toolbox and another toolbox. So sometimes you have object, 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 but at the very end you always have some task you want to invoke to accomplish something. All right, so let's take a look here on the chat window, see if there are any questions I can help you with. Let me see. My Farid is already posting some information there for you guys. When you see Microsoft Reactor, that's him. Henry has some comments in there. Armando, hi, are any slides available? Oh, no, so these slides here, I made it just for this session. They don't have anything very specific to them. Your main resource is the actual learning path, all right, Henry? Let me see here. Let me get my mouse over here. When I was told that if I click on these things, it would show up here on the screen, but it's not working from my end. So I would ask Fred to click on these questions as I read them, just for the record there. All right. Tesmino, love this. Thank you so much for this. Okay, my pleasure. Great to be here. And all right. In case you did not catch it, let me grab it here just quick. Where is my thing? Oh, well, let me get it from here. I still have it in here, I believe. Mouse, where's my mouse? Right, so this is a very long link. There is a shortcut to this link in here. I believe if I cut this guy down here to this, it should work. Yep, right there. So, oh boy, I cannot type that link in here for you guys. So if you just search for this introduction to PowerShell, you should be able to get there. If Fred has that link and can paste it there on the chat window for our attendees, that will be great. Yeah, the recording will be available later, Parag. They post it on YouTube after 24 to 48 hours, so it will be available there. Well, yeah, so if you do google.com introduction to PowerShell and you do site docs.microsoft.com introduction to PowerShell, that should get you there. Oh, no match. Perhaps because I did not type it correctly. If I can type Microsoft, that might help. There we go. And that's a link. Yeah. So if you do this search here, you Google that, you will get to that page same way. And thank you, Fred, for putting the link in there. That is way better, right? aka.ms Reactor YouTube for the YouTube channel for the Reactor. DR. So the link, if Fred can get the link there, that would be great. I do not have the link. I don't have a way to put the link there for you. So I will, yeah, I will not be able to get it there. The link, the shortcut for the link itself is, what is it? Should be, nope. I think I lost my session. Oh yeah, it must be here. There we go. I got this guy here. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the. There you go. Here's the link. Copy this guy. Copy link, and let me get here on the PowerShell on the PowerPoint for you. Got one extra in here, and a text box with the link. And you can take a screenshot of this guy here. Let me get the PowerPoint here behind me. And again, here's the link. Let me put myself here small in the corner. Here's the link for this particular learning path, right? So we can go ahead and get to it later. Let me get this one here, so we can do a screenshot. And if Red could get this link there to the chat window so they can copy and paste, would be even better. So on the count of 3, screenshot, and I'm going to move on to the next of the content. All right, 3, 2, 1, done. All right, let's go back to, and no, I cannot change the background color of my PowerShell in the sandbox. I can change it on my local Windows, but not on the sandbox. Sorry for that. Okay, so mouse. I lost my mouse. There we go. Here's my mouse again. And let's get back to the virtual machine and wrap that up. And my virtual machine is down here. All right, so let's get back to the learning path. Let's close this one. This is my Azure content, and this is the learning path where we're doing things. Perfect. All right, moving on and get to the other side. What else do we have here as exercise here? Oh, that was it. So let's move on to the next. So here on this next one here, they come with more content. They're actually introducing a particular commandlet. So this is a commandlet. And how do I know that this thing here is a commandlet? Well, they are telling it right here, right? This is a commandlet. So they're telling it right here. But the other thing that is a hallmark for a commandlet is that it's a two-part name, right? It's a two-part name. It gets a verb and it gets a noun here, a verb and a noun. You're always going to see this. So something that I love about PowerShell commandlets is you know what action is going to be taken, what kind of action is going to be taken, and in what kind of element or what kind of context that action will be taken. So like when you do get, is like you are retrieving information. You want to learn something. You want to collect something that the computer knows about, the environment knows about. And what is that? Whatever comes on the verb there later. So you want to get the get, and the noun. It may be a verb, maybe a noun. This is verb here, but it can be other one. The other one is, yeah. So that's it, right? That's the commandlet. Got distracted here for a second. So if we do, yeah, we're gonna see those exercises coming in, like in this one here, get command. I want to learn what commands are available there. Get help. I want to get help on a particular command. Get member. I want to see what are, and get member again. Everything works on top of objects. So when I get member, I get the members of an object, which are a list of properties and methods as we have just discussed, right? And thank you, Fred, for putting the link there. Appreciate it. And moving on, locate commands by using the get. So yeah, so here's some more documentation for you to read. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the exercise. So my sandbox is back up. Very nice. I wish I could remove these bars over here. I don't see an X element in here to remove them. So let's just keep moving. All right, so let's locate a command. So here we go. On this one, on this particular one here, they're using this commandlet, get command, to learn what other commands that are available in the context of my environment, in my running environment. So if I go here to my sandbox, my sandbox, and type CLS to clear the screen. I do get command. Again, the tab key helps you out completing the thing. Always use the tab key. You don't want to see your screen bleeding. What is your what does it mean? what I'm talking about, screen bleeding. So when you run a command and command goes bad, you see it gets your error message in red. And sometimes when you see people working PowerShell, they get the screen is full of red, so the screen is bleeding. I don't want your screen bleeding, right? It's kind of a joke that we have when we do PowerShell. So your screen is bleeding. Ugh. So use the tab key to help you out typing your commands. So get command. This command, it takes a parameter, and parameters, they always start with that dash. And you can also use the tab command, the tab key for the parameter. So if you do n and tab, it will try to complete. Oh yeah, see, it showed me I have two options, name and noun. Which one do I want to have in there? If I do, I know I want a noun because I'm following the exercise over there. So I'm going to do a O and tab again. And now there is no ambiguity anymore. So it completes it for me right now. So what is this doing? It's looking into the library on this PowerShell environment here for commands that have the noun in the noun part of the commandlet, the word file, and something else. The star is a wild card. This means it can be any other elements in there. So as you can see here, there are 4 commandlets. And actually, there are 3 commandlets and a function in this environment. And as we have learned, the first part before the dash is a verb. The second part after the dash is my noun. So there we go. See, file, 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 file. They all start with file on the noun part of the commandlet. And it may or may not have extra elements, the extra letters. This one does. File hash. Oh, sorry. File hash. Right. So this one does. So that's an awesome way to, like, what's the command again? I remember there was some, the keyword file into it on the noun part. So there you go. That's one of the great ways to figure out what is available there for you in the environment. All right. What else? This one here. You see, it wants to see specifically for the get, for the same query, but on the verb side, it wants to see the verb get, not any other verb like out or new or write. It wants to see the verb get. So another way to get the commands in here is by copying this guy and right click inside this one here and paste. There it is. And paste. And just paste the thing in there. And now I can see here, let me get it out of the way. Now I can see here that there is only one commandlet that has get in the verb and file something in the noun. All right. So this is one of the ways you have, and you learn that in the learning path there, to figure out what commands are available there for you. So that ends the first unit of this learning path. And here's a cool thing about these learning paths. Once we finish the units, they usually have these knowledge checks. Some learning paths don't have this. Some do, and this one does. And in here, they kind of do some quiz questions just to make sure that you are following along and you can earn points. This is where you earn points. I have already been through this one here. You see, I already collected my 200 points of this guy. But you know how to do this, right? What is the correct way to locate a command in PowerShell? Get command, find or locate. Oh, we just learned this. It should be get command. And how would you search for commands that deal with files? So files is a noun. Noun is the second part, so it should be on the second part. Here's a noun. Noun files. Must be this guy here. I think I have seen this before in the exercise. And then you check your answers. And if you get it wrong, your screen will bleed again. You're going to have some red thing going on here. And when you do that for the first time, it pops up like, hey, congratulations, you accrued some points in there. Nice. And that will go against your badge. And then you can keep moving on these elements, right? The next one here is a pipeline. So let's quickly go into the pipeline. Whoops. He did a big jump in here. Let's go to introduction. Back in here. There we go. So the next one here is into the pipeline. So it gets into the introduction, what you're going to learn about. There's elements in there. Unit 2, select the data. So get member to inspect what is in a particular element. Yep, let's go ahead and jump into the exercise here. You can read these things on your own. Let's look into these things as we do the exercise. So continue. And here's the exercise again. And once again, you need a sandbox. So the other sandbox for the previous unit was already discarded. And now we got the new one here available for this module, this new module. Thanks, DR. DR, nice on the knowledge check. All right, so my thing is coming. Let's see what we have in here. We gotta wait for the. And there it goes. It's coming up. All right, so they're asking you. There's some text in here, so you can get the context of what's going on. And in this one here, they're asking you to run a particular command. This is not really a PowerShell command. This is the bash command that's available there. Bash commands, they are different and not really part of, of the main topic in here. It's just to have something running in the background. So let's go. Okay, my thing is there. Does that work? Push. No, push doesn't work because it's bash, like I said. But if I do this particular command in here, now hold your breath, right? Relax, because this command here is going to be somewhat involving. There'll be a lot of parts to it. So let's go ahead and check them out. I'm going to go ahead and just paste the command here for the sake of simplicity and saving time. Paste the command in there. And there we are. In this command here, we are, where's my zoom? We are actually doing more than one task, right? We are using a lot of elements in here. And I'm going to wrap up the class in here. Our time is up. I'm going to wrap up the class in here with this one. Oops, sorry. Something happened. Oh, wow. That's weird, right? I'm sorry if you're getting dizzy with this screen zooming in and out. Sometimes the zoom in doesn't behave like it should. Let's try again. There we go. Nice and easy. Okay. And let me go to the other side. So here on this command here, we see a Commandlet. Here's a Commandlet. And as you can see, now we have two Commandlets going on here. So you usually have one Commandlet per line, right? You write a line with your Commandlet and let your Commandlet do whatever it does. But you can also have your Commandlets running one after the other and linking them, defining the order they go by using this character here, right? This guy here. This is called the pipeline. In case you're not familiar with this, in your keyboard, if you're using a US keyboard, there is the Enter key. On top of the Enter key, right above of the Enter key, there is a backslash. On the same key of the backslash, there is this vertical line. Sometimes there is a gap in this vertical line. Sometimes it's a solid vertical line. And that vertical line there, usually we call it the pipe because it connects one portion to another portion, right? One part of a command to the next part of the command. So in this case here, the pipe is connecting the processes, the get process result into the where object command line, which is the next one. So what each one of these guys do? Well, this is something that you will have to research on your own later, right? Again, the idea here is to get you your feet wet with this so you can keep learning on your own. What they do is, if I run, let me press escape button here. on this guy. It doesn't want to escape. Usually when you press escape button, it clears up the whole thing. So let me go to the other side. If I just do get process, I see the list of processes. You see all the processes that are running on the computer on that particular session, right? On that particular host session there. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 processes running on that session. So when I do PS process and I pipe it with where object, it means that that where object will be executed with the result of get process. You will get that list of processes that are running on the element. And in this case here, the where object is a filtering element we can use to select specific elements of a list and throw away the ones that don't match our filtering. So in this case here, they want to select the one where the CPU is greater than greater than 2. So this would make a selection, a list of a selection that will look into these guys and see which one of them has a particular property that's not showing you on the list right now, that has a CPU attribute. Remember the property that is in the object, the CPU property, that's greater than 2. So in other environments, usually you would see this comparison done like this, greater than 2. But in PowerShell, that greater sign there has another meaning, is a redirection meaning, something that we're not going to see right now. It's a redirection meaning. So by convention in PowerShell, all of these comparison behaviors, greater than, lower than, equals to, they seem like parameters, right? Like this one in here, greater than 2. They seem like parameters. You're going to see them like that. So you have greater than, equals to, equals to, or not equals to. You have a bunch of them in there that you can learn from the documentation. So if I do this, I see out of those 5 processes that are in there, only 2 have that property CPU greater than 2. They're running on a CPU that's not that's a CPU 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. And see this actually it's showing right here. I was blind. It's showing right here. So the CPU consumption of these guys, right? It's running right here. So these 2 processes out of the 5 that are listing there are using more CPU than the other ones. So they're keeping the computer busier, right? So there we go. We get it over there. And on that same command here above my head, they go ahead. They keep going. They keep going to it and say, you know what? Let's get this output, this result that just came out, and let's format it by sorting and by asking just if there are more than 3, just for the 3 top ones. So again, the pipe is used to get the result from previous command to the next one. So get process gave me a list of 5 objects. The where object looked into the properties, into the property of these objects, a particular property called CPU, and kept only those that are having CPU utilization greater than 2. The other 3 were discarded. Now these 2 remainder ones are being sent to the next commandlet. So that's the idea of the pipe. And sort object CPU. Oops. Skip it. Really, right? Sort object, meaning let's sort it out, ascending or descending, whatever you want to do, by CPU in this case, and by descending order. So I want a list of the process that are sucking up my CPU, and at the top I want to see the process that's collecting or using more CPU than anybody else, any other one. And I want to see just the first 3 ones if there are more than 3. Select object. Select object. First, oops, if I can type. First 3. So when I do that, I kind of see the same result, but notice that the PWSH comes first because it's the one that's consuming more CPU from the list. I know that my original list here has 5 processes. So if I don't filter out the ones that are the highest consuming ones, I know that my list would have 5. But the select object will discard the lowest 3 ones and will keep just the top 3 ones, and those are the top 3 ones. All right. So what we have just seen here is exactly this, right? It's the basics of PowerShell. We haven't been through into looping and variables because we just don't have the time for that today. But you have seen how you can get an environment to run your PowerShell scripts. You have learned what PowerShell is for and what's the technology behind PowerShell. It's actually .NET. And you have seen some basics about how to learn what commands are available to you. You have seen how to look into the information that's available inside an object through those commandlets and how the commandlets are formed, right? It was a very crammed up session because there is so much to go through here. And PowerShell, it's so powerful. There's so many other things you can do. I hope that has enticed you to go into PowerShell and learn more and use the Microsoft Learn environment to learn about these things. There are great books out there. I can recommend you tons of them. I have some good ones that I usually have them around. Some of them are old ones. They're still print outs over there. Most of them are PDFs on my computer. So before I wrap up, let me take a look here on the chat window, see if there are any pending questions. So Fred is requesting you please to go into this survey, aka.ms reactor survey event, and the event ID is 15882. Please do that and let us know how we can do this better next time. There are a lot of other sessions coming up, so hearing from you is very, very important. We really want to learn what you guys think about the session, how we can make it better. Right, next one here. Please put the link for the PowerShell learning module. I think I have read that one already, but I'm gonna put the link up here again just in case you need. And that's not it. This is it. All right, let's get back here. There we go. Next one. That's the link again on the screen as well. Great. If you have a few moments, please feel okay. That's the. Fred asking for the link again. And thank you, Enrique. My pleasure to be here. All right, so that is it for us. I'm going to wrap up in here and we'll give the microphone back to Fred for the final words. And I'll see you in the next section.
Thank you so much, Armando. I appreciate it. It was great. Everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. And as Armando said, please, we'll be more than happy to hear your feedback about how this event goes. Please go to the AKA link we just posted on the chat and use the event code 15882. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Have a good day.
Have a good day, everybody.